Joining me now is U.S. Representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Mike Waltz. Ambassador, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Give us your assessment of where we are right now, and I want to talk about the little sparring that you had with the Iranian ambassador, but how would you characterize this mission?
Well, just as the president said, we're ahead of schedule for the Department of War in terms of achieving the goals that he laid out. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. They can't have the ballistic missiles to hold the entire region hostage as they develop one. They cannot continue to fund terrorism as they've been doing for 47 years all over the region, attacking both the United States and our allies. So we are making progress towards those goals, devastating progress. But, Maria, I just want to touch on this kind of narrative that's out there in the mainstream media and that you're hearing from the Democrats that he's been inconsistent. The president has been incredibly consistent. All three of his campaigns that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The JCPOA, Obama's Iran deal, was a horrible deal and got us out of it years ago. He reinstated maximum pressure his first month in office, his second term. He has been consistent over and over again that this diabolical regime cannot have a nuke to threaten the United States or allies, period. Well, and he's taking action along those lines, and he's said it for over a decade.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. In the first term, he certainly was talking about this, and then as far back as March in this term, he told me about diplomatic efforts that he was making, that he sent a letter to Khomeini as asking to talk or something will happen. So he's given it a lot of time.
I was standing there as he crafted it. He has always put diplomacy first, but he's also not going to take a bad deal. And the thing that 77 million people voted for was a president who stands firm on his red lines. And when he put one there and the Iranians continued to cross it, then he took bold, decisive action.
Yeah, but what are you hearing at the UN? I mean, the UN Security Council calling an emergency meeting earlier this week following Operation Epic Fury. You were there. You got into sparring with Iran's UN ambassador over the treatment of Iranians. Let's take a look. I want to get your assessment here. Watch.
I have one word only. I advise to the representative of the United States to be polite. It will be better for yourself and the country.
I'm not going to dignify this with another response. As this representative sits here in this body representing a regime that has killed tens of thousands of its own people and imprisoned many more simply for wanting freedom from your tyranny. You know, I'm going to be kind here, but it wouldn't surprise me if this guy ends up knocking on our door for asylum. This regime is falling apart. They have abused, imprisoned, tortured their own people for far too long. They've threatened the world for far too long, and they've killed. And as a veteran, well, I can tell you as a veteran how many American soldiers that the Iranians have killed, either at their hands or at their proxies. I'm a Green Beret, not my first firefight, and he should be careful with his words sitting on American soil, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well, and thank you for your service to this great nation. I always say that to you, Ambassador.
Thanks.
But what about the feeling in the room? Do you feel support at the UN for this operation? You know,
oftentimes not in that crazy place. I feel like I need to put on my body armor. But I got to tell you, the Bahraini ambassador was sitting right next to me there on the Security Council. Iran has way overreacted. They have overplayed their hand. It is backfiring on them in terms of attacking their neighbors in all directions. Many of our Gulf allies were having a lot of disagreements, and they are now unified right now in their opposition to these attacks.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. now is closing multiple embassies across the Middle East, as you know, in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Beirut, as Iran is retaliating with these drone attacks. U.S. officials now identified 4 of the 6 American soldiers who we lost in Kuwait during the Iranian military strike. And the U.S. is strongly urging Americans in the region to depart now because of this retaliatory fire. What do you know? What can you share with us in terms of the capability of Iran today? Obviously, obviously the U.S. has defanged them in a big way.
Well, there were two kind of swords of Damocles that they always held over both us and Israel. One was Hezbollah out of Lebanon, saturating northern Israel with missiles. The Israelis have taken down that threat from the pager and the beeper and pager operation and follow-on operations. The others were these short-range missiles coming at our bases across the Gulf. Our central command is taking them down day by day, and you're seeing the number of launches get cut almost by half as each day goes by. Every time they launch one of those missiles, we take out the launcher. And this was what Secretary Rubio was talking about, was Iran's ultimate plan to produce so many missiles. They were producing hundreds a month that, as they secretly redeveloped their nuclear program, that we could never touch it years from now. And this is what I so appreciate about President Trump. He doesn't wait until the problem is so acute. He doesn't wait until they have an ICBM with a nuclear warhead on it, and then we have to deal with it like we're dealing with North Korea. He saw where they were going. He took bold action now while we still could and before it was too late.
So where does China fit in all of this? Is
well,
China
they're losing one of their big,
yeah.
They were supplying components, many of them dual use, so they weren't overtly military. They could be classified as civilian if they chose to. But at the same, how they really fit in is they've lost both Venezuela as an energy supplier, and now they're losing Iran as an energy supplier. China bought about 90 to 95% of Iran's illicit sanctioned oil at a huge discount. That's no longer going to be on the market.
Right. I mean, this is what we're talking about every day, is China is complicit. It certainly does strengthen President Trump's hand going into that meeting at the end of March. I'm wondering if that meeting gets delayed because of all of this.
Well, I'll let them. I'll let them. We'll see on that. But yeah. I got to tell you, he has sent a message that he's not going to sit back and admire problems that have festered and vexed administration after administration. He's there to solve them. Yeah. He gave diplomacy a chance. They clearly weren't negotiating in good faith, and he took decisive action.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, like I mentioned earlier, the president talked about the letter that he sent to Khomeini last March. I want to move on, though. You were with the First Lady this week. First Lady Melania Trump spoke at the United Nations Security Council this week. First Lady to ever do so, right? She made a push for peace through education. Her opening remarks offering heartfelt condolences for the families of our lost service members. And this is the first time a First Lady from any country has presided over the council. Tell us about that day.
Well, the presidency of the UN Security Council rotates amongst the members every month. And what an honor and how historic to open our presidency for the month of March with Melania Trump, with the First Lady. And, you know, it was such a kind of complimentary action in the sense that the president is trying to reestablish peace now and stability now by taking this regime that has destabilized the Middle East and is the root of all evil in the Middle East off the table. At the same time, she's looking over the horizon. How do we establish peace for the next generation? And that is through education. And you see around the world, especially with women, where women are involved in civil society, in business, in politics, you don't tend to have a destabilized society. Yeah. You tend to have one that is thriving. And to hear her lay that out before the council and to hear the overwhelming response was really pretty special. And I have to tell you, Maria, that room has never been so packed. It was every seat, standing room only. She really is a rock star and an amazing representative for the United States of America.
And it's a really important message, education. You've heard a little of that in some corners from Queen Rania, you know, education, and I know that they are also friends. Right. So the reception to the First Lady was positive.
Oh my God, it was, I mean, it was through the roof. I don't want to tell the president, but there might have been more people there to see her, I don't know, than he comes through. And we had no escalator problems. So, yeah, good to go.
Good point. Ambassador, good to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in. Ambassador Mike Waltz. Stay with us. We'll be right back.